Clap.
Okay.
Whoa! All together. That's impressive. Okay.
All right. I'm Peter.
I'm Lori.
And I'm Hamilton.
And this is Heroes Character Rental Service Movie Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing
The Joker.
The Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix. And does anyone want to give a background what this movie is about, or shall we just dive right in?
It's pretty much a character study about a person who has some serious issues, mental health issues.
Hang on one second now. Hi, camera. I gotta see what's going on. Okay. So, yeah, it's about a kind of he's got some mental issues. He's mental health issues. I have to say. He's a young man. He comes from an abusive home. He's taking care of his mother. Kind of the outcast of society that nobody kind of pays attention to or respects.
Exactly.
And he goes through some traumatizing experiences that, but he kind of comes into his own power in a negative sort of way, I would say, when somebody kind of hands him
I think you described it, Peter, as a perfect storm of events.
I think what happened to this person, what they were trying to do, because in the comic strips, we know the Joker as being a chemically created person, whereas in real life, they're showing how someone can be done like this because of society issues. And now you can understand how somebody could, like a Columbine could happen.
Somebody
things
could
like
snap
that.
and turn and do something violent and turn to crime or do bad things basically. And when you've been put upon for so long, the movie is really interesting in taking that. I think it was very effective and successful in portraying somebody you felt sorry for the guy, you kind of liked him, even though he was kind of creepy and inappropriate, did some inappropriate stuff, but you can kind of understood, well, he's got some mental health issues, so he kind of doesn't understand some things, and it just our insensitivity to people who have issues and not knowing, and not caring enough to figure out where they're coming from in order to, and how to properly interact with people.
Right.
So we're all not triggering each other.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So.
Because I do know that in the 60s, early 70s, we had Ronald Reagan in California as a governor.
Right.
And one of the things that he did not understand and then acted upon was outpatients who needed their meds to stay at a level rate or a level B.
A functional rate in society.
A functional rate, yes. Somebody who could have a job right next to you and function just as anyone that we would call normal, but they're that way because they're on certain medicines to keep them balanced.
Right.
And
but that issue speaks to today because there's a lot of issues with the pharmaceutical industry being so expensive and people not being able to get medications that they absolutely need. We don't have proper mental health facilities anymore, so we have a lot of people with mental health issues on the street, and kind of this movie takes place around 1980, I would guess, from because they had the movie. I wonder if they passed a movie theater in the marquee is the movie Blowout, which I know came out about 1980, so I thought it was kind of interesting.
See, I kept going 70s because of the cars.
Well, it is. I mean, it's the transition. You get that transition.
It's actually late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
Because like you guys were saying, they have those movies on the marquee that
kind of indicate the time period. And plus the look, like I said, the cars and things. And which it does an effective job of recreating a certain era. Kind of, it's Gotham City, but it does look like trashy New York back then.
Right.
But not to give anything significant away, but there's also a mention of the fact that they're taking away funding for mental health
Right, and that's why I mentioned.
Yeah, they mentioned in this
when
movie
Ronald Reagan decided to close all of the.
It's not only the way people treat. What is it? His name is Arthur. Right? Treat the character that becomes the Joker. We think it's also all these things are being taken away that helped him to have a functional life.
And like I said, seemed to be a perfect storm to whereas he would go in and his social worker wasn't really listening to him, and he mentions it to the social worker, and then when the social worker has to tell him, hey, you know what, we're not going to be able to do this, they're taking away our funding.
And he's like, I can't see you anymore, and I don't have a job either, so it's like we're both screwed.
So it was, again, to me it was, and then he started finding out other things about his past,
his truth about his past.
It was, where I kept saying, why would you make this a standalone movie? I totally understand why you would make it a standalone movie.
I think there shouldn't be any sequels to this or incorporating this character. Because the truth is, the way they do, I don't know if we should reveal this, you're not sure if he's the Joker or inspires a future Joker. It's kind of cool because it fits in a certain way that he probably inspires a future Joker that would fit in with a lot of the movies that have already been made, the Batman movies. And so
I agree. I just want to say before, because we don't want to divulge any spoilers. But I just want to encourage people who haven't seen the film to see it. It is very dark. But if you hear too many people talk about it, it's going to confuse you in terms of understanding what it really is about or what it's really like, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's go about no more of the plot of this movie and not to give too many things away. I think it was really effective. Like there's been a shift to wanting showing really gritty superhero movies, particularly like a Batman genre, which absolutely works. And this really effective in doing a gritty kind of movie. That was very impressive about it. But how did you guys feel? I kind of have some issues with the film still.
After seeing it twice now, I think I have a lot of different opinions that probably most people wouldn't even agree with. I think I'm even questioning if this is, like you said, even about the Joker in the Batman comic, or if maybe he read a Batman comic book and then imagine that he was the Joker,
right?
Or maybe I don't know.
And that's kind of one of the problems I have with the movie.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There's
a lot of good stuff, and you'll be really kind of captivated by the movie during the movie. But when you come out of it, you kind of have questions, and things don't link up enough for me.
Yeah, I agree, Laurie. It's kind of like we talked about this after we saw it, and you can have so many different interpretations.
Yeah, because I think all three of us had a different look at it.
Yeah.
Because myself, I think as that character in his world, of course, there was no such thing as a Batman. Or Joker or anything. There was just no such thing. This was just.
But we don't know
a person. I feel
this is different. This is your interpretation. I gotcha.
That's my interpretation. That there is no such thing. These things, we're watching these things happen to this person,
right?
And because remember, his mother, who she worked, her whole story and backstory or whatever. This was just like it has nothing to do with a comic book character that he knew, and then he's trying to take the persona of.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
This was just a person who things was happening to, and this was the turnout. Because remember, even the name, he said, hey, do this because you did that. And he said, okay. So this was just, this is just a whole thing that happened. And it seemed to me that society, in this perfect storm, created this. Because of his background, what happened as he was a kid, what he was told, and then finds out, what the real is, and then it's just...
Right.
It's just a mess. And when I say a mess, I mean his life becomes a mess.
Yeah.
But I would say,
Pretty
go see
unfairly,
this.
too.
Yeah. It's hard.
Very
It's hard to talk about this film and not get into all the specifics of.
And I would say, the Joker that we grew up with in the DC comics is a totally different Joker than this one. And
I agree.
And that is why this is a standalone movie.
Right.
And it should be, because the Joker in the comic strip, we have a reason to dislike him. This Joker, you're not sure about.
Right.
Because there are some sympathetic.
Yeah, you're like, I can see why he snapped.
It's like,
right.
Yeah, I would have too.
I mean, it was wrong to do what he did, absolutely. But I can see why. And I mean, if we approached the world like that, we might handle things better too.
Right.
So, did you have any things like you had issues with the movie that you?
I've seen interviews with the filmmaker and Joaquin Phoenix together, and they said things like, well, they were asked, would you do a sequel and would you do a movie with a Batman character? Which I think, after seeing this film, at least the first time, I really thought, wow, this would be interesting if they had a sequel with Batman, and this would be a whole different approach to comic book movies. And I liked how they portrayed Gotham City in the film, but ultimately, like they said in the interview, oh no, we would never do a movie with Batman. And then we were thinking, we loved doing this film. We could do a sequel, but it would just be all about this character. There's so much more we could do with this character. So it really seems like Todd Phillips, the filmmaker, didn't intend for this to even necessarily be a comic book film.
I think he just used the Joker kind of as a metaphor.
Yeah,
kind of like
exactly. That's
the
how
ills
I
of
feel.
Society, kind of like shine a light on the ills of society.
And I would go as far as to say that I think he's even maybe, on one hand, he's using the image of the Joker as commentary about film, because he's saying that if you make a film about a comic book character, you'll put butts in seats and people will be interested. But he's saying things that are, I think, deeper than just what you would expect from a typical comic book movie. That's the question. I mean, like he's...
Well, then, you know what? I can see what, because what we're talking about is deeper than what you'd expect.
Right. He said he made this film originally because, he's the director for the Hangout films, or the Hangover movies. And he said he didn't want to make comedy movies anymore. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, he doesn't want to make any more comedy movies because nowadays there's too much cultural backlash, for people like comedians or people who work in film, who are comedians, who make these films. You're always going to offend someone. That's what he was saying. And he decided to make this film as a form of commentary about how he feels about the current state of films. I thought that was interesting, but at the same time, I'm not sure that this film really says
anything
a lot.
Yeah, I don't think
about any of that.
Yeah, that's what I don't think it said anything about that.
Yeah,
too much about that.
It's so open ended that you're not really sure what he's saying. That's
kind of like my issue with the film is like, if you wanted it like. You don't really know if it's actually taking place, what's reality and what's not, in a lot of ways. And my thing is like, if you're going to do that, you kind of have to guide the audience more to let them know. It's so ambiguous. It's like, at least, you got to guide them to know. It's like, I want this to be ambiguous and for you to figure it out yourself.
Right.
And I don't think there was enough guides for that route. And it's I want this to be a reality and certain parts of it not to be. and I want you to go that route. I don't think it connected well enough on those issues
I
to
agree.
really, stay. Yeah, because there are other filmmakers that are more successful. It's like, okay, I get, this is supposed to be ambiguous, and I'm supposed to come to my own conclusions. I don't think he did a successful doing that. There's
agree.
Also kind of read a review with comparing this to Taxi Driver. They say it borrows a lot from Taxi Driver. I haven't seen Taxi Driver in a long time.
Right.
I mean, the grittiness definitely reminded me of Scorsese film, and thinking back, it kind of reminded me of that, but like specific details. And I kind of wonder if, it might have like tried to imitate that movie too much.
Yeah.
And not
I
generate
agree.
its own identity.
There's a scene. There's a scene where he sort of, just like the Robert De Niro character in the film in Taxi Driver, where he's imagining. Let me see, what was it? He's imagining interacting with some aggressor or something, and Robert De Niro does that in Taxi Driver. You talking to me? You talking to me? So I mean, I think that maybe in that sense he was making a reference to Taxi Driver, but there was. I just think ultimately my biggest problem with the film is that I'm not really sure exactly what he's saying. I kind of feel like I get it, and I got why he did this film, but then I'm like, why is it about the Joker? I don't know.
Well, I think they needed to put a name on it, and the way it ends up, this guy, is just laughing, and he has like a creepy laugh. But anyway, I think the ambiguousness of the movie and what is true and what isn't true, I think that was on purpose.
Yeah, I know it's on purpose, but I don't think you did enough to let you say that.
Right, but
he didn't. I don't.
You're not in the. I think what he's trying to do is take you through his mind, because he doesn't know what is and isn't.
But see, my point is, like, other filmmakers have done that better, and made you like, okay. I'm going through,
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's my issue with that.
I think the reason he didn't make it so clear is because when it's made clear to us, it's made clear to us as normal people.
Right.
Whereas
I disagree with
think if you're in his mind, he doesn't know what's real and isn't real. And that, I think, is where he's
I think it's a
to
disservice to the audience that you don't give them kind of guideposts. And like I said, people lay that landscape down. It's like, okay, I'm taking you on this trip. I want you to question this. And I just don't think he was effective enough. Because you got out of the movie, it's like, was I supposed to? Was I?
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think that was a good approach, because... I was questioning that because
I totally agree, Laura. I feel your
because things didn't connect, because he didn't connect things well enough.
Yeah,
and not questioning that because on a deeper level, it's like, oh wow, that kind of, and that's why another issue with this film. I thought it was kind of surface and superficial in a lot of ways. You have this, in a way, it's kind of weird because you have this really interesting and deep topic, and it was effective in talking about that, but by a day later it's like I didn't,
you're right.
That movie didn't kind of dig into me like some of the better movies.
It's really weird because when we saw it last week, I felt a certain way about it, and I feel after almost a week I feel a little different. I feel not as impacted by it.
Yeah, exactly. The impact doesn't stay with you, and that's kind of like...
One thing he said that I thought was really strange in the interview is he said one day he's going to, sometime down the line, he's going to give everyone his interpretation of the film. And it's like...
Well, your film should have been your interpretation.
Yeah, a good filmmaker doesn't have to tell you what his film is about.
Exactly. Yeah, he should have shown you in the film.
Yeah.
And I think that's what...
And I thought that was really when are you going to give us this interpretation? Like 2 years from now?
That's kind of...
Well, I have to tell you, I enjoyed this movie immensely. And like I said, I have a couple of acquaintances that have mental issues, and I can I now see better on how this works with them. But I saw one of his interviews, the director. I saw one of his interviews, and I'm sitting there going, I guess I totally didn't get the film.
I think that's the interesting aspect of it.
From what I saw and
see what you love my point. He didn't want you to make your own mind up.
And I wonder now, and I'm sure he's seen it, but he still has his mental interpretation of what the movie is. Editors can make and break a movie. We have editors that made Star Wars, and then we have editors that made this movie, and I got something totally different from it than the director was evidently trying to show me.
Yeah,
exactly.
But again, me and the director have issues because I'm like, no, that's not what it told me. It told me
we
this.
all have the same problem.
And the director is going,
feeling like the director.
No, it meant this.
He's not telling you what he's saying, and he's not telling you that I want you to figure it out. There's not enough for you to go either way. That's what my issue is. I will want to say, because you sent me an article about somebody really pointed it, kind of tied this movie into current society and a lot of the ills going on. That I thought, that's really effective if you get that out of that. I can see
I definitely
that kind of like. There's like how our power structure and the people in control of our society, how they give us this. We're given this we can achieve things from our merit and move up in society, and the truth is, that's not really true. We're controlled by a lot of there's a lot of we have no control over anything, and we have all these a lot of forces, and the Joker, the Arthur character. We can easily relate to him, and that's one of the effective things about this movie. While you go and see it, it's like, I get that, and I get this chaos going on and feeling beaten down and having all these things taken away from me that I have no control over and have no way to remedy. So, I can understand why that guy was snapped, because this is messed up. So I think, that it was, so there's a lot of really quality things for this movie to portray.
I agree, you guys. I mean, I think we all agree that we liked the film, seeing it the first time or whatever. But it's just when you start looking at it and getting deeper into what is this film about, that you're gonna find some frustration, maybe, because it ultimately. I know my interpretation. There's things that happen in the film. I interpret it one way, and other people might interpret it differently. I've talked to other people who saw the film, and they totally disagree with some of my interpretation at the end about what really happened, and they and it's in either argument. There's no way to say my argument is the correct,
or there's no way to say it's like, I get, because we should have different interpretations,
right? Yeah, but it's at the end, it's just the open-ended nature of how he shows you. He shows you certain things. He shows you certain things. I'm sorry. I was thinking like I should have done this before. I'm sorry. No, it's okay. He shows you certain things, but he doesn't give you enough conclusive information to say, okay, I get that now.
So I think we should. Let's wrap this up. I say absolutely go see this movie. Joaquin Phoenix is amazing in it. It is well made in a lot of ways, and really effective that you can link into it, but that you can connect with it. But I don't know if it's like, I'm not really. The only reason why I wanted to see it a second time is to kind of like, all right, let me see if I can figure out this. The parts that didn't connect with me the first time, but not because I have like an overwhelming desire. It's like, wow, that really dug into me, and I just want to see it again. But I say definitely go see it.
Definitely go see it.
Definitely.
And we have three different opinions on what they were saying, but there's one opinion that's the same, and it's go see the movie.
Yeah, go see it.
It's very good.
Yeah, very well made movie. All right, we out.
We out.
We out.